Alright, let's continue with our long neck figures. And this is going to be a little long neck person. We used to call them pencil neck geeks, is what we used to call them. And so we're going to carve, we've jumped from an animal now to a little figure. Then we're going to jump back to an animal. But this is a little pencil neck figure. So you can do so many variations of characters and of things like that, in other words, and just really enjoy yourself, in other words, as you do things. Okay, now let's go ahead and separate our neck from our we're going to work on our body at first. Some reason I cannot find my carving glove. I got to get me another one. It's somewhere around here. I just can't find it. So don't write me and say you're not using your carving glove, because I can't find it right now. So. Okay, now let's go ahead and establish our arms. I'm going to have one arm coming down and just kind of coming over here like this. Actually, I want it more coming down like this and coming out like this, in other words. That, and I want the other one just to kind of come down and hang there. So let's go ahead and establish our little arms here. Now this is a thin character, so but we would expect that with a little pencil neck geek character. Please, we're not making fun of anybody, okay? Oh boy. Please don't pull a political correctness on me, please, because that's not what this is about. I tell you, today we are so just really I mean, I think it's good to be friendly and kind to people, but you know, the government carries this things way beyond, you know, way beyond things, in other words, with political correctness. So we're going to go ahead and I remember we're going to come up here and do this, get this hand set, in other words. I remember before I left the plant out there, because of my hand and because of some other issues that I couldn't, well, I had 36 years, so I mean I could retire anyway, but I mean just they wouldn't let you call, I don't know if y'all know, we used to call people hands. Like, he's a good hand, he's really a good hand to work with. They stopped us from saying that. You couldn't say male or female coupling. Now, this is not dirty now, but for years, a pair of electrical pliers was called a pair of dikes. And that had to stop. We couldn't say that. it really got crazy out there. We were, it got really wild. It got really ridiculous is what it got. But unfortunately, that's what happens when you get the government involved. Okay. People can't laugh at themselves anymore. They don't know how to. Okay? Now, of course, as we can see, that is way too big. Which we're going to cut back, and like I told you, I always start off with a, you know. But now there we go. See, as we cut it back. In other words, I believe that we should be kind and not, you know, necessarily label people, but sometimes things just go way out of proportion. People are way too insensitive about things today. I grew up in a world where, you know, you just weren't that insensitive about things. I remember when I first started working at that plant, and we're going to the back here now as we cut this. I started working at that plant. Our bosses, those old bosses, a lot of them were World War II veterans, and they didn't know the difference between a black man and a white man, or a Hispanic man, or whatever. To all of you, white, black, whatever, you were slaves as far as they were concerned. And they call you that. In other words, in other words, it didn't matter to them. It didn't matter to them at all. You all got out there and worked, and didn't do it, you went home. So I grew up in that kind of a thing. I worked right beside black men that were called all kind of names, and I was called just as worse right next to them. And it didn't kill us. They just wanted to see if we were gonna work or not, so we could handle it. It was tough back then, back in the 70s. Whenever you got a job at one of them plants, they didn't care what you went up there. If I went up there, if I went there and complained about my supervisor had called me a racial word or something like that, they'd laugh at you. And I know things are better now. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just telling you. If you think that people think that black people were just called things, shoot. When you were in the labor gang, you were considered trash almost. I mean, you know, you were going to work to be an operator one day, but they just basically considered you trash till you proved yourself. So, a lot of things. People are just. There you go. See how as we go. I read an article that day that a bunch of students in a college had to get counseling because they saw the Southern flag or something like that, because they saw a Confederate flag, and they had to, it upset them so much they had to get counseling. Oh boy. I'm telling you, back when I was young, I don't think a lot of these people could have made it. They couldn't. They'd have had to put up with the abuse that we did. And this was a plant. This was an oil plant. I mean, a chemical plant. But a lot of them old boys that were supervisors, they were World War II veterans. Some of them people fought. One of the guys I knew fought the Battle of the Bulge and stuff. Those old boys were tough. They'd been through hell in their lives, and we knew it. And we respected it. We didn't get mad when they called us something. We didn't technically like it, but we didn't get all upset about it either. You know, you can ruin a world with political correctness too, because you can make sissies out of people too. In other words, and not only that, but they'll take political correctness and use it for their benefit. They'll use it for their benefit, and all right, now look at that. See, we want to make him kind of skinny because he's a pencil neck geek. Okay, and the legs. We're working on the body right now. Yeah, I don't mean to talk about them things, but I remember that. Whew. Buddy, you didn't go complain like they can today. There was no such thing as discrimination back then all that much. I'm sure there was, but most of those men, problem was a lot of those men, once you went through it, and once you got to be an operator and something like that, they were the nicest guys in the world. But they just treated you like that to make sure that you could, because back then it was hard work. It wasn't just easy work like a lot of this stuff is today. And you had to learn. If you didn't want to learn, didn't want to do it, you didn't make it. Simple as that. Alright, here we go. I don't know why I think about those things. I just do. The way the world's going, I guess. Alright, look at that. See? Now this is gonna be down, down right here. Actually, this really is a little I'm sorry, excuse me. That's still a little bit thick. There we go. Alright, let's see, what kind of clothes can we put on him? Let's go ahead and just put a pants on him. Cut that. Go ahead and put a little belly on him. Yeah, I remember those days. They weren't pleasant days, but they taught us that we weren't going to get something for nothing. That's for sure. And like I said, I understood a lot of those men that were our bosses. They fought in World War II, and they were tough. They were men that had been through a lot in their life, and they didn't cotton to people who were, sissies and didn't want to work and stuff like that. Back then, when the supervisor told you to do something, you went out and did it. You didn't question him. Of course, if it was safety, concerned your safety, and they 90% weren't going to tell you go out there and do something unsafe, because they were your bosses, and they were going to get in trouble if they did. So. But when they told you to do something, you did something. Okay. Let me go ahead and cut this hand right here. Okay. And let's go ahead and cut this hand right here. And let's go ahead and cut this. There you go. Cut that in there. Now, we'll go ahead and put a little tie on him. Let's go ahead and let's cut this little, watch this. on your knife when you cut this. Uh-oh. Come along there and take that off. That's off thin in there. Cut along there. Take that off in there. And cut there. Cut there. Let me cut this again. And cut a little bit. Ah! There we go. Cut a little bit more like there. There we go. Very good. Just I'll try not to get off the beaten path, as we say on the. But I try to also get close enough where you can see me doing this. And so. Alright, now we've worked on the, let's come in here, cut our little crouch area, Alright, I think our time's up, and when we come back, we will be, we will then work with the head with a little pencil neck geek. Okay?